Welcome to Animalia. Coming up today, we're pumped and we're primped for the biggest show in town. Hey, my lawyer will have you out of there in an hour. 7 tame tigers are being cared for at a Buddhist temple. Later on, we'll show you how they convinced this guy to take a bath. Also, this colourful critter is dinner for one of the most unusual creatures in the world, the platypus. And again, at a Buddhist temple, a dog has started religious training in Japan, and we don't think he totally enjoys the process. And we introduce you to this tiny bundle. She's 5 weeks old and is the latest addition at Berlin Zoo. What is she? A serval. Russia's national carrier, Aeroflot, has introduced a team of specially bred sniffer dogs that it claims will be much more effective in sniffing out explosives and boosting the airline's security. Aeroflot introduced the sniffer dogs after the September 11 terror attacks in America, though airline officials say it had been put together in May 2001. The dogs are a mix of the Siberian Husky and the Central Asian Jackal that were first bred in the 1970s for Soviet law enforcement agencies. What makes the dogs so special and useful for airline security is their sense of smell. This isn't affected by changes in season, and they're able to sniff out substances such as explosives in low temperatures that would normally crystallize odor gases. This comes from the breeding of the jackal, which, being a subtropical animal, has brought to the pedigree mix the ability to sniff all year round. Aeroflot is currently using 10 of the dogs for baggage checks and checks aboard its aircraft at Moscow's main international airport, but it plans to boost the numbers to 20. One of the benefits of this breed of dog is its ability to search for whatever it has been trained for without the need to please its handler. The search ability is a very positive feature. As well as its superb sniffing skills, the breed has the temperament to make it an ideal working dog. The introduction of the Central Asian Jackal into the gene pool has had the additional benefits of increasing the dog's resistance to canine disease. The Husky, of course, is already well known to be impervious to the cold climate and has exceptional endurance and a strong work ethic. Many international airlines have, of course, been forced to re-evaluate their security measures. Another case of humans and animals working together for the benefit of all. These 2 dogs are sniffing out their new temporary home. They belong to the abandoned dogs at the North London animal shelter Mayu Home, and until they find a new family, they're staying in the shelter's newly decorated kennels. Development Officer Nikki Austin said they wanted to create as comfortable and stress-free an environment as possible for these rescue dogs that often come in traumatized as a result of abuse, neglect or abandonment. The kennels are equipped with television sets, video players, custom-built dog houses, showers and pipe music. They almost look like normal living rooms, and the dogs seem to enjoy them. Nikki said they've immediately seen a good response from members of staff, volunteers and the public who came to view the dogs. When the dogs come in, they're at ease and they spend hours at a time watching TV, being petted and just spending time with other people. The dogs also enjoy daily pampering with aromatherapy oils, intended to make them and their prospective owners feel as much at ease as possible. Dogs are naturally inquisitive creatures. It's important to stimulate them all the time, particularly if they're alone in a kennel. The charity said the revamp, costing £120,000, mostly came from one person's will. They didn't reveal his or her identity. So far, there are 10 designer kennels that can house up to 14 dogs. Meanwhile, more than 2,500 top dogs are being primped and preened in the heart of Manhattan for this year's Westminster Kennel Club Dog Show at Madison Square Garden. It may be Fashion Week in New York City, but in some parts of the Big Apple, it's all about dogs rather than leggy models. Just a few blocks away from the human catwalks, Pooch is operating on doggy runways, competing in the prestigious Westminster Kennel Club Dog Show. More than 2,600 dogs of all shapes and sizes from across the USA, Canada and Mexico are cooped up in cages at Madison Square Garden to compete for titles such as Best Terrier, Best Sporting Hound, Best Toy Dog, and of course, the most coveted title of all, Best in Show. The top 5 dogs in each breed are invited to compete, and from there the dogs are eliminated until judges make the final call on who will be Best in Show. Show chairman Tom Bradley said all the pooches are the cream of the cream, and they're certainly treated as stars worth pampering. Owners and professional dog handlers primp and preen their canine charges using hairdryers, specialist shampoos, and a variety of mousses and gels. Everywhere you look in the bowels of Madison Square Garden, there are dogs, dogs, and yet more dogs. Little ones, big ones, fluffy ones, and bald ones. Some are well behaved, and some just like to have fun. Stay with us, because after the break, we bring you the results of the biggest competition for dogs, the coveted Best in Show. Champion Torum's Scarf Michael, also known as Mick, is a familiar face at dog shows across the country. But it was no ordinary day when he became Best in Show at Westminster in the Big Apple, New York City. Mick had to beat a handsome German Shepherd, a Brittany Spaniel, a popular Newfoundland, and a slow-moving but extravagantly primped Pekingese. To reach this stage of the glamorous competition, each dog must win its own division. To be crowned Best in Show can mean lucrative breeding contracts for owners. Mick has won the world's largest dog show, Crufts, in England, and followed that by taking the major AKC Eukanuba National Invitational Championship in Orlando, Florida. But he'd never been able to win America's most prestigious show, mostly, according to his owner, because of a case of the jitters.
Our Best in Show dog at the 2003 Westminster Kennel Club Dog Show goes to the Kerry Blue Terrier.
A Kerry Blue Terrier, Mick, was beaten twice in past competitions at New York's Madison Square Garden, but this time, the 6.5-year-old terrier couldn't be denied. He posed perfectly and was rewarded with the Silver Championship Bowl. Luang Tuabwa in Thailand's Kanchanaburi province has 7 tigers living under its care, eating their way through 3 jumbo bags of dog food every day. The tigers originally came to the monastery as cubs and are now effectively domesticated. The monastery first made headlines recently when both national and international press swarmed to the temple to film the strange sight of Buddhist monks play fighting with, petting, and even riding 7 seemingly tame tigers.
have a bus.
Since then, the temple has become a popular tourist destination, with hundreds of people flocking each week for the rare opportunity to get up close and personal with animals that are usually only seen behind bars at a zoo. On arrival, visitors would be forgiven for thinking they'd come to a zoo rather than a monastery, as the monks care for a diverse menagerie which includes barking deer, horses, wild boar and gibbons. Most of the animals roam freely around the compound and will eagerly approach visitors, particularly those carrying bunches of bananas which can be bought at the gate. According to Buddhist beliefs and Thai law, temples are protected areas where the killing or hunting of animals is illegal, which makes them an ideal sanctuary for protected species. It's in this way that Pusit Kantadoru, abbot of the temple, explains the arrival of the tigers when they were cubs. He says it's likely they were orphaned, their mothers killed by poachers, hoping to cash in on the widespread belief in the magical properties of tiger fans and bones. People from the local villages brought the cubs to the monks for protection, and they've been there ever since. But the temple has come under fire from some animal rights groups in the country who say that the monks are exploiting them for financial gain. With around 30 visitors a day, each giving a minimum donation of 100 baht, the tigers have become effective money makers. But the monks insist that they are a tiger conservation centre. While experts admit that the tigers are too domesticated to be let out into the wild, questions have been raised over what will happen to any cubs that are born. Some believe the tigers wouldn't cope with being released if they've been raised since cubs, but others think it unnatural for the animals to be kept in captivity. For the moment, it seems that the temple will be allowed to keep its unusual residents. It's a wedding. Most brides-to-be are usually nervous before they walk down the aisle, and Chicken Guy seemed even more nervous than most, flapping and squawking as she was brought onto the stage for her wedding. Animal lovers flocked to the Thai capital Bangkok for a mass pet wedding which saw cats, dogs, rabbits and even chickens being paired off in a special ceremony just days before the most romantic day on the calendar, Valentine's Day. This is miniature poodle Rambo and his bride Josie. Just like Noah's Ark, they came in twos. Organisers said that the aim of the event was to ensure that animals weren't forgotten in the romantic frenzy that surrounds Valentine's Day. I'll let my wife know. An Australian zoo is celebrating the arrival of its first platypus baby. It's only the fourth of the unique species to be bred in captivity. Keepers at Taronga Zoo in Sydney knew something exciting was going on when one of the female platypi in their enclosure began gathering material for a nest. Staff believe the female laid her eggs 4 months ago, but it wasn't until this week that the baby platypus emerged from her burrow. Taronga's 24-hour video monitoring system caught the baby platypus, known as a puggle, emerging from the nest for the first time. They say the puggle is about 4 months old now and is only slightly smaller than its mother, with a shorter beak and tail. Little is known about the platypus, which belongs to a group of animals known as monotremes. Apart from the echidna, the platypus is the only egg-laying mammal in the world. Staff at the zoo say they'll be keenly monitoring the youngster's progress over the coming months in a bid to learn more about the secretive animal. Meanwhile, it was the end of an era for Sydney's Waratah Wildlife Park when animal welfare officers moved in to shut down the business. The park was made famous by the Australian television show Skippy, about a bush kangaroo. For many years, tourists and locals have been able to get up close and personal with Australian wildlife at the park, but authorities moved in after claims of neglect and mistreatment of animals.
That one's pretty loose.
Too much bread. Although management denied the claims, the extensive collection, including a Tasmanian devil, kangaroos, dingoes, freshwater crocodiles, and the ubiquitous kangaroos and koalas, are all to be rehoused. A dog has started religious training at a Zen Buddhist temple in Japan. Just after dawn at the 14th century Buddhist Hokyo temple in central Japan, the chief priest Tato Sato and his novice Pudding start their daily religious rituals. Putting on purple and saffron robes, Sato and Pudding set off for the numerous small temples which cling to the hills of Tsuru City. They stop at each temple building to read sutras and offer prayers and incense. Sometimes they're joined by parishioners who come to pray with them. Sato is the 38th priest since the temple was founded. 5-year-old Pudding is the first canine novice. Sato's wife found Pudding as a stray pup on the road near the temple, and from the beginning, whenever she came in front of a Buddha, she would become alert and sit up. Pudding even goes with Sato on alms-gathering rounds in the city and surrounding areas, wearing robes which were made especially for her. Apart from praying for souls of humans, Sato and Pudding's daily rounds also include prayers at a small temple for pets. Photographs of beloved deceased dogs and cats, along with urns which contain their ashes, look down upon Sato and Pudding from wooden shelves as they recite sutras and pray for the souls of the pets. Pudding has been making the morning temple rounds every day for the past 3 years. Pounding of drums and parishioners coming and going don't faze the dog, which sits quietly with her master on brocade cushions placed in front of the altars. Pudding has yet to learn the skills of meditation and can be seen yawning during the hour-long morning rituals. But once she masters that, the first dog Buddhist novice may become the first canine to reach nirvana. A special laundromat in Western Japan has introduced a new concept for bathing dogs that's guaranteed to save pet owners time and a messy bathtub, as their pooches get an automatic wash while their owners wait for their laundry. The dog owners, tired of doggy odour and the arduous attempts to get rid of it, can now enjoy a new bathing system that will save them the work and the mess of splashing in the tub. It's a dog laundromat that's opened adjacent to an ordinary laundromat in Toyooka City, and residents have been flocking to the laundromat to wash not just their clothes, but their dogs as well. The cost for a thorough shampoo and blow dry is 2,000 yen for small dogs and 4,000 yen for a large one. The shower baths are by appointment only. Jets of warm water followed by soapy water, and then warm water again bathe and massage the smells, fleas and ticks away. Laundromat owner Takayoshi Nakei places the dog inside the bright red washer with a large glass window and turns the machine on. It seems that everybody likes this idea, except the dog. And who can blame it? After the washing's done, warm air swirls throughout the cubicle, drying the canine customer. A male giant panda cub took his first steps at the San Diego Zoo this week. Veterinarians at the zoo describe the unnamed cub's mobility as a waddle, as he moved mostly with his front legs. The veterinarians believe he'll be walking with all four legs in the coming weeks. The 99-day-old cub weighs just over 5 kilograms. San Diego Zoo is home to 4 giant pandas, the largest population in the States. And here's another baby being introduced to the public for the first time. And for once, it's not a boxing champion who stood in the limelight during the official weigh-in. This little darling is at Berlin Zoo. It's 5 weeks old. Can you guess what it is? Well, full marks if you said serval. She's the youngest addition to the serval family at Berlin's Friedrichsfelde Zoo. And at only 5 weeks, Mia managed a proud 230 grams. Servals are found in most parts of Africa, except the desert regions to the north around the Sahara, and their exceptionally long legs allow them to swiftly move through high grass. Although a medium-sized cat, the serval's prey tends to center around smaller mammals such as hares, rodents, and ground squirrels. Their sophisticated ears assist them in pinpointing small prey. Impossible to imagine at this stage, but after a few more grams, Mia's on the way to adapt the elegant and grown-up looks of her mother Mara. That brings us to the end of this edition. We hope you've enjoyed these strange and wonderful animals that we've brought into your home. We look forward to your company next time when we bring to you the world of Animalia.